What can you do when you've experienced something awful in your childhood and all the bad feelings come back to haunt you, even when you try not to think about it, when the feelings are rooted in your body and you cannot escape them? Intellectual knowledge is for your mind. Experience is for your, what's the word? Your body. Think about, where is trauma normally contained? Mind or body? Think about this. Where do you normally feel the trauma? You feel it here, your body. So do you see why most people who consume loads of books about trauma, watch YouTube videos about trauma, do you see why most of them actually fail to overcome trauma? Because all they're doing is feeding their mind with intellectual knowledge. Knowledge is important, but realize you're just giving your mind an inspiration. Your body needs a shift. That's the key, because experiences has led you to your trauma. Therefore, new experiences is what frees you from your trauma. So remind yourself of the 3 levels of mastery. Most people never realize this. That's why they're stuck with different traumas here. What's the first level? First level is knowing. Knowing is the absolute lowest standard of mastery. Why? Because just because you know that you should not react in a way that triggers your traumatic response doesn't mean you're going to do that. Just because you know smoking is bad for you doesn't mean you're going to quit right now. No, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is just potential power, right? This is why the worst sentence you can ever say to yourself is, Tim, I already know that. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter what you know, right? It really doesn't. It doesn't mean you've changed your life just because you know that concept. This is why the second level is now important. Intellectual mastery, aka cognitive mastery. That's when you've ingrained these concepts over and over again by you constantly reaffirming exactly these new concepts into your life over and over again. These thoughts become habitual in your mind. Your mind has to save energy. Therefore, it becomes your new way of thinking. Yes? Think about this. New ideas create new neural synaptic connections in your mind. So if learning something new is creating the new neural synaptic connection, then remembering or being reminded of is how you're strengthening the connections. So the more you strengthen these connections over and over and over again, they become second nature. Something as natural as breathing. That's second level of mastery. It's not quite done though. The third level, this is where we're trying to get to. This is the most important level. It's called physical mastery. Physical mastery. That's when you've taken these intellectual, philosophical, spiritual insights and you've acted upon it. You made a new choice. You made a new decision. Like it says here, you're one decision away from a totally different life. You've decided to respond differently back to that trigger. And in that moment, you are teaching your body what your mind has intellectually understood. You repeat that process enough, all of a sudden, you become that concept. You don't even need to think about it anymore because you are it. You're living it, you're embodying it. And it is at this point, you'll notice not only have you overcome trauma, you have actually achieved the results that's aligned with that philosophical insight. Making sense? So let's say there's a boss right now at your workplace that always triggers your past traumas. Yes? But let's say today you remind yourself of who you want to be, not who you've been. Let's say you remind yourself, I want to be an empathetic leader, right? Let's say you show up to the workplace and your boss gives you that look again in an attempt to trigger you. But this time, let's say you respond differently. You remind yourself of who you are, right? Who you are, a leader that displays empathy. In that moment, if you decide to display empathy, right, you are truly training your body to understand what your mind has understood. You repeat that process enough, before you know it, that person will never trigger you again because you're now a leader with empathy. You are empathy. Do that enough, it will shift you, it will change you. You'll never be the same again.